Are you asking how much your Virginia car accident case is worth? Watch this video and learn why we think that's not the best question to ask. Hey folks, James Abrenio coming to you from Abrenio Law, your Northern Virginia personal injury and criminal defense law firm. So we get it. It's a natural question. What is my Virginia car accident case worth? What's it going to settle for? I see all these TV ads of people getting settlements for millions of dollars and all that. And of course, it's an important question. It's a complex question. In fact, we've written articles and shot videos about how complex of an answer that question is, how much your case is worth. But we believe here at Abrenio Law, the more pertinent question, the more important question that you need to be asking is, what amount of money are you actually going to see from the settlement or verdict of your personal injury case? Because at the end of the day, an insurance company in a typical case is going to send your attorney a check. And of that check, you're going to see a portion of that. And you'll also notice that there's going to be a large portion of your settlement funds that are going to be dispersed to other people, to other locations, to other entities. So we believe at Abrenio Law, the best thing you should be thinking about, the most important thing is what actual amount of money are you going to be walking away and walking home with? So James, you're telling me that my money is going to be going other places. What are those places? So let's talk about that. When you talk about Virginia car accident settlements, there's typically a certain areas you can expect your settlement funds to go, and I'll just name them up the top, and then we'll talk about them individually. So every settlement, you should expect an attorney's fees to be taken out of the settlement funds. You should expect litigation costs to be taken out of the litigation funds or out of the settlement funds. You may very well also have health insurance reimbursements and outstanding medical bills that you'll have to deal with. And then the last bucket, we'll call it, is the client settlement funds, which is your settlement funds. So let's walk back. Attorney's fees. So typically speaking, when it comes to personal injury cases, attorney's fees get paid on what we call a contingency fee basis. So instead of you paying them up front, $5,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 or whatever the case may be, the attorney actually accepts your case on contingency. They understand at the end of the case, and we do it as well, at the end of the case, that we're going to get a percentage of the settlement value. So I will tell you, the settlement value is typically a high percentage. The industry standards, usually a third or more, 33% or more. We do it a little bit differently here at Abrenio Law, and you can read other articles and videos that we talk specifically about our attorney's fees. But that's a large portion of any value. When you think about it, selling a house is usually 6%, so that's a much larger portion. But in thinking about that, you also need to be thinking about the benefits that you get as the victim, the injury victim in an accident case. So first, you don't have to pay any money up front. Work's going to be done on your behalf without you shelling out a dime. So that's going to allow a lot of people that don't have a lot of cash access to representation in personal injury cases. Another thing you need to think about is the attorney is taking on a lot of risk by doing a contingency fee. To be clear, there's never a guarantee that you're going to be paid a cent in your personal injury case. It may be that you end up getting paid $0. And if that's the case, then the attorney gets paid $0 as well. Oftentimes, in addition to taking the attorney's fees on contingency, a lot of times the attorneys will also take and absorb costs, and we'll talk about that in a moment, involved in pursuing your case that are not upfronted. So again, the attorney is taking that risk. Now, again, that being said, we also understand the attorney's fee is a large portion of settlement funds, but of course, we have to get paid for our work. I tell people, look, if I had independent wealth, if I had a trust fund, I'd probably be a public defender and work for free because I like practicing law that much. But at the end of the day, we have bills to pay, we have employees to fund, and we have kids and families to pay for. So that's the value of the work that we do. So that's attorney's fees. That's the first bucket. The next bucket is going to be what we're calling generally is litigation costs. And again, we've shot a specific video on that, but litigation costs are really the costs associated with prosecuting your claim. So upfront, you can expect costs of actually getting your medical records. This is usually in the hundreds of dollars, not the thousands of dollars. if we have to hire a private investigator to investigate the facts of your case and develop facts, investigate witnesses, take pictures, things like that. Once you file a case, there's certain litigation costs, filing fees that are associated with it, deposition costs, and a large portion is medical expert witnesses that could be in the thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. So depending on the complexity of your case and the value of your case, you have to be aware of litigation costs and be aware that that may be taking up a large chunk of your settlement. Another thing to keep in mind is as you get closer to trial and as you go to trial, it's not like litigation costs are all spent at once. Usually, they're going to be increasing as time goes on, and then there's going to be a large portion as you're getting to trial when it comes to expert witnesses, where for cases that ultimately go to trial, litigation costs, the expert witness fees end up being a large portion of it. Usually, the maximum, not the maximum, the biggest dollar value of what you're spending. So the litigation costs is another bucket. The other bucket you need to be thinking about is health insurance liens and outstanding medical bills. If you're lucky enough to have health insurance companies are paying bills, at least partial bills, and you're getting access to care. Under certain contracts, some of the health insurance companies might have a right to reimbursement. So this is a very complex subject. We've shot a video on that and done articles on that. So make sure to check those out. But these are very complex issues about whether or not a health insurance is going to have a right to reimbursement, how that works. But just be aware that if you've used health insurance, they might have a right to be reimbursed for what they paid out. Now, the good thing about health insurance reimbursements is it's usually not going to be the retail price of a bill. They're likely have paid out a negotiated rate, so a percentage of what your bills, even though you're claiming the entire bill plus pain and suffering and inconvenience. So typically, there should be enough money there to make the value of it actually have value to your pocket. But of course, this is something you'll need to talk to your attorney about. Also, outstanding bills in this bucket. For bills that haven't yet been paid, maybe health insurance didn't cover it, or maybe you're uninsured. A lot of times from your settlement proceeds, you will work with the attorney to get bills paid off. And of course, that's money coming out of your pocket. But the benefit of using your attorney is a lot of times we can request reduction of these bills, so you end up saving money there. So those are the large buckets. Now, the last bucket is the actual money that you're going to be taking home. The dollar value that you can expect to see in your pocket at the end of the day. And again, this is the reason that we think that this is the question you should be asking, because even if you have a $100,000 settlement, but you're only taking down $25,000, well, that's something that you need to be thinking about. And just because your case is worth $100,000 doesn't mean, for example, that you're going to be walking away with $100,000. In fact, you shouldn't expect that. There are costs associated with pursuing your case. And we think that at the end of the day, the most important question for you, and I think you would agree, is what are you actually going to be walking home with? Now, here at Abrenio Law, what we typically will do as we're going through the case, we'll be keeping an eye on these other buckets, and we'll be letting the clients know that, look, as we get deeper into litigation, the numbers are going to change. And it may be that if you settle a case for $50,000 outside of litigation, rather than even if we get a $100,000 verdict, at trial, you may end up seeing virtually the same number. And when you associate the risk of actually trying and losing a case and you factor that in, it may be in your best interest to settle a case for $50,000 versus getting a judgment of $100,000 or risking getting nothing. So these are things that you need to be thinking about that at Abrenio Law, we're walking through with the client. We're having projections as we're talking about settlement negotiations and settlement offers and things like that. So look, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it puts you in a better position to be thinking about how you should be thinking about your settlement. If you have other questions, make sure to reach out to us, www.abreniolaw.com. You can also check out our YouTube page. You can also check out our Virginia car accident page, novacaraccidents.com. And you can be thinking about other questions that we have posed there, and we hope we've provided useful information. So we wish you the best of luck. If you end up working with us, we look forward to talking to you. Until then, take care. Be safe.